Hi everyone, Layo here. Welcome to Beyond Beauty, the real talk on beauty business. Today's topic is one that doesn't get talked about very often: burnout. How do you build a beauty business or a business in general without burning out? The truth is that trying to run and grow your beauty business is a lot of work, but at what cost? So today I have here with me Funto Ogunbanwo, who is my sister and also a clinical therapist who runs Ibi Ayo Therapy and Wellness Center to help us break this down and give us insights on mental health and how to prevent burnout. Hi, Funto.
Hi.
Hi, good to have you here.
Good to be here.
All right, so before we dive into this topic, can you just
Yeah.
talk about yourself, tell us who you are and all that jazz?
Okay, awesome. Okay, hi, my name is Funto, like Layo already said, Funto Ogunbanwo. I'm a clinical mental health therapist and the lead therapist and founder at Ibi Ayo Therapy and Wellness. I practice from a trauma-focused lens, which means that when I'm supporting clients, I'm just taking a holistic approach when it comes to that. At EBIO, we provide individual therapy, couples therapy, as well as corporate wellness services to organizations. And yeah, I think that's it
Yeah.
in summary.
Okay. All right. So one thing that we can both agree on is that
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
running a beauty business in Nigeria is a lot.
Yes, it's tough.
Long hours, back-to-back appointments, and then you're pulled in different directions from your staff to your
Mm-hmm.
clients.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that, burnout is so common in the industry?
Yeah. I think one of the reasons why it's so common is like as a beauty business owner, you're having to be like a jack of all
Mm,
trades, right? So you are likely a service provider. So, meaning that if, let's say it's a salon, for example,
mhm,
the owner is probably versed in making hair as well.
mhm,
So, you're the service provider, you're the trainer. So, you're the one that is setting that standard for your staff
mhm.
to meet. You're the customer service rep. If there's an issue with a customer, you're jumping in.
Yeah.
And then you're the ops person, you're probably like the finance person as well. So, there's like several hats
Mhm.
that beauty business owners have to wear. And those hats are pretty demanding. And let's not even forget, like, just the nature of beauty business is a service-based business. It's a lot because you're
Yeah.
having to deal with customers, different temperaments, and
Mhm.
trying to appease them. So I think those different hats that beauty business owners have to wear, like they can really tug at them. And
Mhm.
it's no surprise that burnout is, I don't want to say it's inevitable, but it's no surprise that
It's
like
common.
it's very common, yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with that, especially the wearing multiple hats.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how I guess what I really want to ask is, or try to dive into a bit deeper is, so salon owner wears multiple hats.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it almost feels as though you have to wear those hats,
Yeah.
right? So like I think there's a thin line with, okay, you have to wear those hats, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's kind of cool when you say you
Mm.
wear those hats,
Mm.
right? So and there's a pressure of, well, if I'm not wearing all those hats, then I'm not serious about my business.
Mm.
How can we deal with the guilt that comes with, well, I need to ensure that there's standards and
Mm-hmm.
everything is done well, but
Mm-hmm.
then there's only one you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Do I keep wearing all those hats all the time?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is where you definitely have to know your strengths, like know where your strengths lie. So if you are fantastic at your job, meaning that like providing the service and you really want to ensure that that's the standard, then pour all your energy into that, right? And then other stuff, maybe like accounting, for example, that's something that you would have to be versed on.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you want to focus more on like just the operational standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just essentially pour into what feels most natural for you
Mm-hmm.
and just like prioritize those things. And then the things that you are struggling with or maybe don't come as easy to you, then I would say if it's possible, like delegating, but not in a way where you still don't have oversight,
Yeah.
right? So for example, with the accounting bits, do you need to get an accountant? And is it a thing where all right, I'm meeting with the accountant on a weekly basis so that I do understand what's going on
Mm-hmm.
and have knowledge about, the things that are happening. But I'm not forcing myself to, sit down and be completely versed with all the accounting stuff, and then the standards is suffering, right?
Mm.
Because that's going to take more of a toll on you, and ultimately it's going to even impact the accounting, because if it's poor service, then it's
Yeah.
poor revenue.
Yeah.
So I would say just like identify your strengths,
Mm-hmm.
and then don't be afraid to, focus on those strengths, and then the parts that are, more challenging for you, get as much support as you can and as your business can afford, depending on, where
Yeah.
you are.
So, you touched on delegation.
Yeah,
I personally struggle
me too.
with that. So, like, but what are real practical tips for
Yeah.
someone like me
Okay.
who struggles with delegating? Because it's easy to say, well, I'll do it myself. At least I can trust that it will be done. And
Yeah.
this is not to say that your team, you don't trust them, but like, there's
Mm-hmm.
just, when you've built something yourself or you're building something yourself, it just feels very.
Yeah.
So, like, what are,
It's your baby.
yes.
Yeah.
So, like, what are real practical tips, honestly, that, you can use to learn how to delegate?
Yeah. I would say that, I mean, I also struggle with delegating. So I
Hmm.
think any business owner struggles with delegating,
Yeah.
right? But practical tips would be, remember the long-term goals, right?
Hmm.
We're talking to beauty business owners. I'm sure everyone has a goal to expand beyond where they are,
Hmm.
right? So, like if you're a salon, for example, you're probably going to want to have multiple locations, or even
Hmm.
if it's just another location,
Hmm.
right? You can't be in two places at once.
True.
So that's the long-term goal,
True.
right? If that's a goal of yours, then it's like working your way
Hmm.
backwards. So, um, empower people that are already proving to be trustworthy. So
Mm.
if you have a staff member that you've noticed takes initiative,
Hmm.
maybe it's empowering them a little bit,
Hmm.
right? It's like, okay, take this on, do this, and then see how they perform.
Hmm.
And if they don't perform to your standard, one thing that I'm learning is that you then just have to train
And
them,
coach
right?
them.
Exactly, and coach them. And I'm also starting to like accept that my standard may not be everyone else's standard, or no one is going to be able to run the business the way I do, because
Yeah.
it's my business,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's a bit unrealistic to
True.
expect that of them. But I can I can train them to a standard that is like, okay, this is the brand standard. And so
Yeah.
you need to like reach this. It doesn't have to look like how I do it, but it just needs to follow that standard.
Yeah.
So empower people that are already proving worthwhile. Start small. If there are things that you don't need to be doing, like, I mean, you and I were just talking about like petty cash, for example,
Yeah.
right? That's delegating.
Yeah.
So start small with things that you don't necessarily need oversight on.
Hmm.
And if you're having issues with like letting go totally, then maybe it's just putting structures in place whereby, let's say if you have a manager, you're meeting with them often
Yeah.
just to kind of see what they're doing,
Yeah.
right? And, people are kind of like reporting back to you still.
Yeah.
And then you can also do like a trial as well. Like,
Mm.
okay, for, I don't know, 4 weeks, I'm going to empower this person to do XYZ and see how they perform.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think those are just some tips that can help.
Yeah. So, okay. Thank you for that. And it makes sense,
Yeah.
especially with like delegation starting small. I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, if you're anything like me, you kind of want to like just
Yeah.
go go
Wow.
big. But yeah, start small. And there's some proverb where it says if you want to eat an elephant, you start with like is it a
One
spoon,
bite.
one bite.
Yes. Yeah.
So okay, so like that definitely makes sense. What are some other practical ways that beauty business owners can implement to avoid burnout? So we've talked
Mm-hmm.
about delegation.
Mm-hmm.
What are maybe like two other tips?
Yeah, I would say like definitely taking breaks as much as you can.
Yeah.
I know that with the beauty industry, I mean, their schedule is different than the rest of the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if we use December, for example, where
December
like
is mad.
typical businesses are shutting down for December, a beauty business, those are
You
their
can't
their
do that.
peak hours,
Yep.
right? But we being customers, we also know that, okay, after the December period, beauty businesses are going to close for like 2 weeks. So like
Yeah.
it's expected, right?
Yeah.
So just really leaning in on those breaks,
Yeah.
and then working breaks into your models. I know that a lot of beauty businesses are not open on Mondays, for
Yeah.
example, because they work on Sundays.
Yeah.
So just taking advantage of those breaks
Yeah.
and like creating them for yourself, because like I said, the beauty industry schedule is different than the rest of the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can't rely on, oh, it's a public holiday,
Mm.
so therefore we're going to be closed.
You can't do that.
No, you can't, because as a customer, I'm going to expect that, hello,
I
I
was
want
going
to
to
do
buy
my
my
hair,
nails.
I want to do my nails, like, so
Yeah.
why are you closed?
Yeah.
So just like making creating your own schedule for breaks,
Mm-hmm.
I would say is one. And then we've spoken about delegating, and then also just like communicating to customers too.
Yeah.
I would say like setting boundaries. I love
Let's
boundaries.
talk about
Yeah, I
boundaries.
think setting boundaries and like, you know how we talked about like standards from an operational standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
but even communicating your standards to your customers,
Mm.
right? So there are certain beauty businesses that like, because I've been a long time customer, I know what their boundaries are. I know that if I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to have to pay a deposit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that has been communicated to me. That has been, I've become accustomed to it. I know that if I miss my appointment, they may not see me. I know that I have a 15-minute grace waiver, things like
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
because it's already built in
Mm-hmm.
and it has been communicated to me. So I can imagine that as the business owner, it protects them because you're not having to like chase customers, for example,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then as the customer, I already know what the standard is. So like if I'm hit with a consequence, it's like,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
that's just the standard.
yeah.
So I think standards would definitely help beauty business owners to prevent burnouts, because, like we said, it's service based, and
Yeah.
people can be very somehow. Let's be real. People can be very somehow, but if they know that, hello, your somehowness has a limit,
There's limits
so
to this.
so everyone will like fix up.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that. So delegating,
Hmm.
taking breaks,
Hmm.
and then just having standards.
Yeah.
And this kind of touches on something else that we spoke about in another episode where I think the guest then was talking about, you know, requiring deposits.
Mm,
And a lot of people don't want to do that because they're afraid of what customers will say, but
yeah.
stands 10 toes down.
Yeah.
And it's also it's also part of what you're talking about, like,
Hmm.
so when your customers know that these are the rules,
Hmm.
these are the consequences,
Hmm.
you do X, there's going to be Y.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So the last, or one of my last questions, or what just came to my head now rather, is, so in the beauty industry, it's
Hmm.
predominantly women.
Yeah.
And then, when we look at the kind of society that we are in,
Yeah.
Nigeria,
Hmm.
there's already a lot of pressure on women
Yeah.
to work,
Hmm.
to do, to be, to just, right?
Hmm.
Then when you now bring that into the beauty industry that also has its own pressure,
Mm,
it is a lot,
yeah.
right? So I don't even know if it's about like what can female beauty business owners,
Mm,
how can they take care of themselves and their mental health? So we talk
mm,
about boundaries in the
hmm.
workplace,
Hmm.
delegation, but like what are other things that they can do to just ensure that they're good? Because
Mm.
you can't pour from an empty cup,
No, you can't.
right? So like
Yeah.
I don't know. Even I'm asking as me too now.
Yeah, like what can you
What can
do?
I do?
Yeah.
I'm struggling.
Yeah, I think when you're a business owner, not I think, when you're a business owner, it's very easy to tie your identity to
Mm,
what you do and
mm,
like to what you have created and
yeah.
like what you own, right? So I think one of the things that people can do, that female beauty business owners can do, is to really start to like pull apart that identity, right?
Mm,
So before you are the owner of XYZ beauty business, you're you first,
mm,
right? So what do you like to do? What are some of those things that you like to do? And like creating, this is where you have to be intentional, being intentional about like engaging in some of those things, existing in spaces that help you feel like you. I mean, as a therapist, people often ask me, like, oh, how do you like turn off like therapist mode, or like how do you take off your therapist hat? And I often just say that I exist in spaces where I'm Funmto first.
Like the gym.
Exactly. Like I'm Funmto first. I'm not Funmto the therapist. So just making sure that I work that into like my weekly schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and I pour into myself. So you have to identify what pouring into yourself looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You've mentioned gym, which is one of them for me, but maybe for somebody, it's being able to like sleep in on a weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are partnered and you have children, maybe it's creating a routine where you don't have the kids for XYZ hours, or or maybe you're even spending time with your kids
Kids,
and
yeah.
your partner, and just getting that family time in, and then also like finding, I think something that isn't spoken about a lot is just like community support.
Mm,
Being a business owner is tough.
yes.
And then being a business owner in a very like niche industry is even tougher,
Mm-hmm.
right? So leaning on community, on your own community, and then also community professionally
Yeah.
too, right? So do you have other friends or colleagues that own other beauty businesses? Are you guys meeting up? I know that as a society, we struggle with vulnerability.
And asking for help.
Exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
people might feel like, oh, hey, why am I talking to this person?
Don't know my
But
secrets. Don't know that I'm struggling.
yeah, but I mean, there's nothing quite like talking to somebody who gets it,
Yeah.
who understands, a customer complaining
Mm,
about something that was their fault, and the sensitivity of like handling that,
yeah.
right? So yeah, community supports, finding space in your schedule to pour into yourself, whether it's activities that you like,
Yeah.
and then remembering that you're a person first,
Yeah.
before you are the boss and the business owner,
Yeah.
because if the person suffers, then all those other
Other things
areas are going to
suffer.
suffer as
Yeah.
well.
I really like that. I really, really like that,
Yeah.
especially the part, with community, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I think is, I don't want to say lacking,
Mm.
but we could do a better job,
I
especially in the
agree.
industry, with just like
Yeah.
having safe spaces and
Mm-hmm.
communities where you can talk to your fellow beauty business owner, because whatever you're going through, somebody else has probably gone through it already.
Yes.
Right. And
Yeah.
there is a lot of wisdom in just learning from other people's mistakes
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and learning how to navigate things or sharing, because I could be going through one thing and then the other person's going through the exact same thing, and two heads are better than one. So why not,
Absolutely.
like, yeah. So I really like that. And I'm hoping that, we start to see a lot more community. That's what we're trying to do as Splice, honestly. Well, part of what we're trying to do as Splice
Go
is just,
Splice.
yay. It's just like build
Mm-hmm.
like safe spaces and communities where the beauty business owners can come learn from themselves, talk amongst themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's strength in unity. And I don't mean to sound like a perspire to aspire or whatever,
No,
but
but
like
it's true. It's true. And like even to touch on just like vulnerability within the community, right? Like, oh, trade secrets. Like somebody's going
yeah,
to steal my secrets. This is where like you as a beauty business owner have to remember you're also your unique selling
your
point.
sauce is your sauce.
Like, so two businesses could be doing the same thing,
Absolutely.
but as a customer, I'm going to go to the one that I feel most comfortable with,
Absolutely.
right? So just remember that you are who you are. Your
Yeah.
sauce is your sauce. So like don't get hung up on it. Nobody is saying like, okay, then go and
Now
open
open
all
the
your
book of
secrets.
secrets.
No, definitely don't do that. Use
Yeah.
wisdom and discretion. But then at the end of the day, like you're who you are. You're
Yeah.
also your unique selling point. So like don't don't trip up on that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much,
Of
Fanta.
course, thanks for having
This is
me.
so
Oh my
good. Oh my
gosh.
god.
Wow.
But thank you. This was very insightful.
Yeah.
And even me as Layo, like, I mean, you and I talk about this a lot about how you need to
Yeah.
take breaks, and yeah.
Yes, you
So
do.
I've definitely heard.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yes.
Now act. Don't just
Okay.
don't
Don't
just
drag
hear.
me.
Act.
Dang,
Okay,
girl.
thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Funta, for coming,
Thanks for
and
having
thanks
me.
for sharing your wisdom and insight with us. And
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of Beyond Beauty, the real talk on beauty business. I hope this episode was particularly helpful for everyone, not just beauty business owners, honestly, just anyone who's running a business, anyone who is, well, I guess alive and just trying to grow, right? Um, I think the key takeaways for me is delegate, don't be afraid to ask for help, and lean on your community, right? Growing and scaling your business is hard, but it doesn't have to break you. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to actually fill yourself up as well. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope this was really great for you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and to also like and follow us on Instagram. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.